Good evening, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of the 13%. We are your hosts, Cynthia McDonald and Arthur Ward.
Yeah.
Arthur!
Yes.
Arthur!
Yes.
Arthur!
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. And
Right on.
thank you all for joining. I am so excited about this conversation. I know I say that on every show.
Yes,
I'll
you
be
do.
excited. Yeah, I do. But I'll be excited about our conversations because I think they're really good.
Yes, they are. Most of the
I know,
time.
right? Wait, hold on.
Most of the time.
Arthur, I'm talking about on the show.
Oh,
Anyway.
oh, okay. All the time.
All the time. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got like great guests. We got a special guest and a special guest. We got two special guests. One is going to be a surprise that we're going to be bringing on up momentarily. But before we do all of that, let us get a little housekeeping out of the way. Everyone who is watching, please make sure that you like this video. Please subscribe to YFNA News and hit that bell so that you can get a notification every time that we go live, whether it be our show, the 13%, or our sibling show in Black and White and Political Perspectives, which is going to be coming up in, I want to say either next month. Political Perspectives is going to be coming up next month, getting closer to the election,
Right.
and other content that we have planned coming your way.
Right.
And if you like the content, please consider being a Patreon and buying us a coffee. All the links on how you can support this channel and our content are in the show notes below. All right? Well, all right. Okay. Now that we got that all out of the way, family, we got a special surprise guest that is coming on to help us have this conversation with activist Ted Hayes. And this is a soldier in the movement all the way out in SoCal who has their own show on the YouTube's Friends of ADOS TV. Let's welcome Miss Angela Nirvana.
Hi, guys.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. It is an honor and a privilege to be amongst you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for coming on. You all, I just want to say that one of the people that kind of got us into doing, streaming, it was several different things that have transpired, but I know like one of the first guest appearances that I ever did to talk about political issues was on Angela's show. So Angela, I really thank you for kind of kicking off this whole thing that I had no idea that we was going to get involved in, but hey, we here, right?
I love it. Both of you have been guests on my show, and it has taken the show to a whole nother level to have ADOS voices throughout the country participate and spread knowledge about Black politics and how we factor in.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes all of our voices and all of our perspectives to really educate ADOS, the lineage that is. The movement has been on it for a while, but the lineage needs this information so that they can get on board and start picking up bricks and really understand the breadth and depth of why reparations are owed in the trillions over multi-generations. So imagine all of us was inspired by Yvette she was my inspiration. And then Tamara Shealy spoke to me about doing my thing, which gave birth to the 13%, and all these awesome ADOS political shows. Shout out to all of us slinging and educating. I'm just uber proud to be amongst you guys. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
You know what? The power of our platforms, it scared me. I got a text. I got a text from a ADOS person in Arkansas, and they said it was because of the 13% that ADOS Arkansas even exists.
Wow.
I was like, what?
Isn't it bizarre?
What did you say, boy?
I've had people from the Philippines
Right.
Asked
Okay.
her to join ADOS SoCal.
What?
From the Friends of ADOS TV. So you never know who's watching and how much of an impression you're making. I mean, I think about how much of a guppy I was before I started watching Yvette. And I've grown exponentially, but there's so much more growth to be had.
Yes.
So when I think about what she did for me and for us, I think about what we're doing for the masses. And that's why we show up, you know. This is just a labor of love. None of us is getting rich off of this, okay?
Right.
We spend our time, energy, and resources to educate the lineage so that we can get the weight of the ADOS behind us to bring this into manifestation, right? Because many people don't know that Abe Lincoln was forced by the 500 slaves who encroached on the Union campsite because they put the pressure on him to make us be free. He was about the Union. They were about our emancipation. And so when you talk about the miseducation of ADOS in America, when they want to make heroes of the very people who, while emancipating us, was trying to colonize us, and they come to understand the strength of the ancestors from a belief. That's all they had, was a belief in our freedom, and the pressure they put on Lincoln to finally get the emancipation. To me, it encourages us to learn as much as we can, because that is what undergirds our push for manifestation of reparations. And that's why I believe that all of us are contributing in the same way our ancestors contribute. They had a belief. All we have is a belief in it, but that's all they needed. And it came to fore. So thank you.
Well, Angela, on that note, we're going to pass around the collection plate, pick up all the tithes and offerings after that particular sermon. We appreciate it. And I'm pretty sure that the family that's watching right now is appreciating and appreciating it as well.
Right.
I was so choked up, I couldn't get all the words out. That's what I was trying to say. Okay. All right. Well, let's just get into it, because now I'm fired up and ready to go. I don't know about y'all, but I know I am. All right. I'm about to come down and go ahead and get him some wine. But that's cool.
Yeah, I really didn't know that. I started reading Prejudential. It's a part of my book club series, Miseducation of ADOS in America. I had no idea it was the ancestors, because I too have been miseducated to believe that Abe Lincoln somehow cared about our emancipation.
No.
Nah.
There's not been a president that cared about our emancipation. As far as I can see, up and through into Rutherford B. Hayes, which is on the one I'm featuring tomorrow, they all wanted us to just be expatriated to another far-off island so they wouldn't have to see their destruction of us on a regular basis. It doesn't stop them from seeking to destroy us. Okay, albeit it doesn't give them some type of moral compass to look at us. They just come up with new ways to keep us together to the bottom. But from George Washington through Trump, we ain't had no friends. Okay, so I learned that it was the ancestors that pressured him, you know, because the Union couldn't be the Union without our emancipation. They were tethered together, and at the same time, he was trying to expatriate us to Haiti. It's powerful. You got to get this book by Margaret Kimberly. She lays it out.
Prejudential.
It is the Black America and the presidents from Washington through Trump. And I mean, she gives you bite-sized little miniature chapters that I literally read on the show. And in 5 minutes, I can read through one of the chapters, but she gets all the bullets and all the puckery, if you will, of what this country has done to keep us tethered. So when you understand the ancestors' push for our freedom, it gives me the inspiration to keep pushing on my show, to keep pushing this on my Facebook, my YouTube, all the social media spaces, because the revolution is being social mediaized. I'm gonna take a breath. This is y'all's show.
Y'all make sure y'all
You know I'm bored to
subscribe.
talk. You know I'm bored to talk. Y'all better shut me up before this becomes the Nirvana.
All right, sister. Hush. No, I'm just kidding.
Absolutely.
No, we brought you here to talk, but it's all good. It's all good. But before we run out of everything, let's go ahead and bring up this brother right here. Brother Ted Hayes was one of our first. Was he one of our first guests? I want to say he's one of our first guests that was on the 13th.
Oh, I think he was like our second guest.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think Ted was our second guest.
Yeah, that's a very real possibility. I must go through the archives, but but he has graced us with his presence before, speaking on the 14%. And I'm sorry, the 14th Amendment. I'm sorry, I'm getting the show and the amendment all amalgamated into one thing. But he came on our show talking about the 14th Amendment and educating us on the 14th Amendment and the nuances, how it actually relates to Black people who descend from chattel slavery in America, and also all the work that he has done and is continually to do in Los Angeles. And so we need to go ahead and welcome this brother. Please, family, welcome Brother Ted Hayes.
Oh, there he is.
There you are.
Scared me. Hey, thank you so much, Cynthia, Arthur,
Yes,
Angela, and all your viewers who are paying attention right now. Thank you for letting me come back on your broadcast to update you on what's going on here in LA, which I hope to have a national and global impact if we're successful. So thank you.
Oh, most definitely. So we actually, Brother Ted, this is kind of like your show tonight. We're just here to kind of help frame the conversation, myself, Arthur, Angela, because, you pressed upon me about some of the work that you are endeavoring to do now. Yes. And how you are really hoping that you can get, some of us who are involved, with the ADOS movement to be at your back. And I believe in the work that you're doing, because it is definitely to help us as a group. And anytime that there is any person that is 10 toes down, that's trying to actually help us moved forward on the country we built, I'm all for it. So, so like I said, this is your thing right here.
But you know what? Before Ted gets started, I want to let everybody know how we met Ted. Okay. All right. This is okay. This is just us. Okay. Family. Okay. One day, Cynthia and I were coming from a bar, and we're in the car listening to different political YouTube channels and stuff. And we ran across Ted Hayes. He was being interviewed on a television network, and this man was wailing about the 14th Amendment, our position. And when he said that Black people were 14th Amendment super citizens, that just stayed in my head. I was like, because I never heard that term before. And then, I had already had a relationship with Angela Nevada. So we were talking about just stuff one day after a show. And he came up, his name came up, and she says, "Oh, I know Ted Hayes, just as casual." I said, "Wait a minute, you talking about the same dude that I saw on you?" She said, "Oh, yes, that's a friend of mine." And the next thing I know, bam, me and Ted are talking. And the next thing you know, this brother agrees to be on our show, and now we're up to this point here. But he's been a wonderful inspiration as far as like expanding my perspective as to what we need to do, how we need to do it, and how our position relates to the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments of the Constitution. So without further ado, let this brother go. But I want to let you know how we got together.
Thank you, Arthur. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
As a federal super citizen, I have been confronting all presidencies from Reagan up to this one. And as of this month, it's been 1 year since I've been dealing with this particular administration.
Mm.
And I pointed something out to them a year ago, when I first talked with them about the homeless matter, that we gave them 3 options as to how they're going to have to deal with this. And I guess I peeked into their policy, and I said to them that there's a growing sentiment in the community that the homeless matter is getting so overwhelming that people are beginning to consider calling in the National Guard to round these people up and quarantine them outside of the urban center until further notice. And when I said that to them, I said it to them on 2 occasions. I said it to the first domestic policy guy, a guy by the name of Mr. Benjamin Hobbs, young white guy.
Mm.
And I said it later, months later, to Mr. Benjamin Hobbs and to a guy by the name of Robert Marbutt Jr. He is the executive, another white guy. He is the executive director of the Interagency Council on the Homeless. I suggest you all look that up. The White House, United States Interagency Council on the Homeless. It's a mechanism that I helped to get into the White House under the Bill Clinton administration, which called for the appointment of a czar, a special presidential envoy, with a strategic national plan to address this issue holistically. Anyway, he had just taken over from the Obama administration guy. And so we were on the phone, and I brought up this issue again about the National Guard having to round up the homeless and take them out of town. And in both instances, they coiled. Where'd you get that information? Who told you that? There's no such policy in the in the White House. Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? And I said, gentlemen, calm down. I didn't say that the policy is in the White House. I said that there is a growing sentiment in the country that this is the only optional way of dealing with the matter. And I'm saying this to you so that you can implement the plan that I have been trying to give you, so that we don't have to go in that direction, which will basically end the Republican form of government that you represent. Well, the week before, now we have been communicating quite a bit on a regular basis, on a weekly basis. I've been out to the White House twice with my LA team. And the last time I talked with him directly by phone was in December, about a week before the COVID thing hit the news. And the White House staff had already gone home and started working from home. And I said to them, so what are you going to do about the homeless and COVID? Because I said long time ago that the homeless are not going to get tested. 2, they probably won't have it because of their strong immune system being out in the element all the time, dealing with filth. And they said, well, don't worry about it, Ted. We have it under control. I said, well, that's great, but don't you think you should tell me and my staffing? I'm the guy out in LA who's driving this homeless issue. Don't you think that you should tell me so we can kind of work together and have friendly fire? And he said, no, it's classified information. Oh, it's classified. All right, I'll tell you what. As an activist, I'm not going to sit here on my hands and wait on y'all to resolve a matter that deals with my people. I'm an activist, and I'm going to take my activist aggression and deal with it. And you make sure that the president and White House know that I'm not trying to hurt nobody. I'm just trying to save my people. He said, oh, don't worry, Ted. We won't look at it that way. It's fine. So shortly thereafter, I took my flag, the American flag, and I turned it upside down, okay? Now, the reason you turn the American flag upside down, according to the United States Flag Code, Section 8A, it states that the Union, this is what they call the Union, this part here of the stars, should not be, like that, should not be turned upside down, except in dire cases of distress of life, property, and hence freedom and liberty. And you turn it upside down for the purpose of, 1, to shock the patriots of the country who don't know the law, 2, to call them to unite around the matter, 3, that we may resolve the issues that has caused the distress of life and property and freedom. So for a long time, I would skate up and down the boardwalk here in Venice with my flag upside down. Maybe 15 civilians be out there, and plus the homeless, and the police would watch me go back and forth, wondering what's the nigga up to now. And so I would begin to educate them on what was going on. And so then the Lord told me, I know some people don't believe in that, but I do. I was impressed there's a hill here in Venice where there's a big sculpture. I guess you guys seen the pictures. I was told to go sit up on that hill with my flag upside down and begin to make the statement, and that people would draw near. And since that time, it's been like 3-4 months at least with that going on. And I picked up some support. I've talked with people from all over the country, Black folks. For some reason, Black folks are coming to Venice Beach. I ain't never seen so many Black folks coming to Venice Beach from every imaginable city. And we talk. They come to take pictures with the flag and the banner, and we talk. We talk about, it's one thing for us to holler at the police and the white people and everybody else, Black Lives Matter, when we are killing each other on warlike statistics annually and on weekends and so forth. And all of them agreed. All of them agreed. And they said, even this one dude, I remember came up, he was all tatted from here to there, from Chicago. And he had a little set with him. And we pulled aside. He took his picture, and we talked that way. He said, "Sir, you're absolutely right about that. We got to stop killing each other. We can't keep this." And they all said, "Well, we don't have leadership. Our leadership abandoned us." I said, "Why did I got my black ass up on that hill for, all bold and bodacious for, to be your voice on this matter?" So what we've been doing was with this dude from New York, rather from Chicago, from New Jersey, which we're trying to put together. Maybe y'all can help with this. I got most of the people's phone numbers to text them. I asked them, would you all be willing to be in a nationwide unity Zoom or video conference on this matter? And they said, yeah. So we're working to pull that together. Now, in the meantime, because I had a discussion with the White House about a month and a half ago, my last discussion with them. And I said to them, look, I'm tired of y'all jerking me around. You're nice people, but you know what? I'm going to have to take an action of civil disobedience because you refuse to introduce me to the president. I asked you about the 14th Amendment. You admit you know nothing about it. Therefore, how are you qualified to address issues of Black people if you don't understand this basic fundamental matter of our existence in this country? So you need to talk to the president, because the president of the United States said he believes that the 14th Amendment belongs to Black people and Black people only, because they were slaves that was given to us, and not to anchor babies, people who come here having babies illegally and taking the citizenship. And see, that's what got him in a lot of trouble. We talk about that later. That's what got him in a lot of trouble. So I said, he understands this, and he needs someone from the Black community to explain to him how to use that power for the matter of our lives. And I said, there's all these African-American conservative Republicans. I know most of them. They know me. Them niggas refuse to introduce me to the man. They don't understand about the 14th Amendment. I talked to them. They never heard of it. Especially the civil rights.
They don't care.
I don't care.
Well, I don't know if they don't care or not. It's just
they
ignorant.
don't.
They're ignorant. And they love to get them photo ops with the president. See, and talk how they with the president, all that kind of bull defecation. But nevertheless, so what I resolved to do is go over everybody's head, and I'm gonna do what I do best. Is I'm gonna go and take over a federal building here, either on the 28th or the 29th. I had alerted the White House I was gonna do it on the 8th of this month, but I realized that I was not well equipped enough to do it at that time. So I've been talking with my people here in Venice, and they're working, and so we decided I'm gonna go with it on the 8th. And what our objective is to do now, we want to build up enough noise virally on the internet about this matter until perhaps the president will look and he'll hear it and he'll see and he'll call his staff. What's going on out there in LA? How come y'all ain't told me about this? Now, and I made that clear to them in the letter. So they're pensive now. They don't talk to me no more. So we're at Cold War. So next week, if I cannot get them to act by next week or before next Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, I'm gonna go in. They know I'm gonna take over a property. Now the FBI knows it. I've had 2 FBI agents, black dudes, have approached me already in disguise. Now I peeped them out. I smoked them out. And I'll tell you about that later. I smoked them out because they're checking me out to see what kind of nigga I'm gonna be should I get the national platform. And I made it very, very clear to them what my policies are and what my intents are. Now, if it comes to it that they don't call, and I end up going to jail, because the way it's going to work is I'm going to go into the lobby of the federal building around midday, and I'm going to sit there all day, my flag upside down, have all my social media people coming in, you know, and I'll be talking to y'all and everything live. And at 5 o'clock, they'll say, Mr. Hayes, it's time to go, it's time to close. I'm going to say, I'm not going nowhere. And then they're going to arrest me for trespassing. And I looked up trespassing. It's a felony.
Mhm.
If found guilty, I'm looking at a year in federal pen, a year in probation, and a $2,000 fine, which I ain't gonna pay.
Mm.
Now I've been arrested by the FBI twice already, so they got me on record. They know me well. They probably know about this conversation we're having right now. And I was arrested one time for occupying a piece of property with an encampment on federal property downtown several years ago, and I was arrested for preventing the Pope when he came here in 1987. I got in his way, and they arrested me for that. This will be my 3rd time out there now. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, and I didn't want to make it an October surprise because I didn't want it to be a part of the political conversation, the electoral conversation. But it may end up becoming that. And I think that this is where ADOS can play a major role, because I think everybody's tired of Black Lives Matter movement. They're sick and they tired. I hear it all the time, especially from white folks. They're just tired of it. Black folks tired of it. One, because it's confused, has no leadership, has no direction. It's emotionally based. It's then deteriorated into a bunch of white folks out there tearing up our shit in our name. And the African American leaders have not confronted them on this issue, which they should have confronted them a long time ago on that stuff. And all the white kids, the good white kids, and I talked to them out here, the white privileged white kids, and they admit, and they said, look, we came out because we know that our privilege is based on the inheritance of our parents and their parents on the back of your people who were slaves. And we want to fix it. We want to fix it. And they said, but we got tired of marching around hollering Black Lives Matter, George Floyd. Where are we going? So I said, well, we're going to show you where to go. Now, we are activating a movement. I've been talking to these white kids. I'm educating them how to go back and get their white kids to come back and march again. And one of the things I'm hitting them with, I speak on my speaker system out here, and they hear me loud and clear. I said that we're talking about the matters of Black lives, not the matter, the matters of Black lives. We have been monolithized again to think that our issue is with the police alone. And if we abolish the police or defund the police or reform the police or train the police better, niggas gonna stop killing each other. Ain't happening. We can't even get along with each other. Just on the basis of doing business with one another. We can't even do black dollars recycled with one another. We can't do none of that stuff. Why? Because it's a fundamental issue that our people don't understand. But nevertheless, be that what it may, what I say to them is, look, y'all, 7,500 young black men primarily die annually by gunfire at the hands of black men. Annually, 7,500. I said, if that was 7,500 young white boys and girls, and some black folks and some Mexicans and Asians in military uniform, overseas in foreign country, dying in them numbers, I said, all y'all will be out in the streets hollering, stop the war, bring the troops home now. I said, don't you think it's time to use this white privilege to help me to stop the war and bring my brothers home now? I said, I'm not going to let y'all go home and let this be a fad, Black Lives Matter fad. We're going to finish it. This is why we're calling on the White House to take this flag over the White House, turn it upside down over every federal building, over every military base, every ocean, sea-going, river, lake-going vessel, every embassy, and every consulate until this matter is resolved. Now, 57 years ago, folks, Prophet Martin Luther King prophesied of this day. Y'all, I really want to encourage you to go back and read real slow, I Have a Dream, and read what that young brother, he's only 30-something years old, 20-something years old, he gave that speech. Read what that young brother said. One thing he said, after racial unrest, if you think that because the Negro can blow off some steam, everything's gonna be all right, if y'all go back to business as usual, you're gonna have a rude awakening, America. He said that America shall neither rest nor have tranquility until the Negro, the black man, black lives, black citizens receive their citizenship rights. Now, it's on paper, but it's not in actuality except for the talented 10th. He said, the whirlwinds of revolt shall continue to shake the foundations of this nation until that bright day of justice emerges. Ever since I was a kid, I was like 14 when the Watts riots jumped off, and I was living in Maryland. I saw it. It cooled down. Then Newark went up. It cooled down. Everybody went back to business as usual, white and black. And then more cities blew up, all the way up to Rodney King, all the way up until Michael Brown. Black Lives Matter. Cool down. George Floyd's brother said something. I don't know how many people heard it, but I heard him loud and clear. I listened. George Floyd said, y'all, every time one of us get killed by one of these police, we jump up and down, burn shit up, carry on, have news conferences, marching parades, and we go back to business as usual. He said, folks, we need another direction. And that's what I'm doing. Calling for a direction that our people have never tried in the whole time that we've been free from slavery. And it is built around that matter, that single most important matter of our identity in this country, in this Constitution. And I tell black folks, and I tell white kids out there, you may not like the United States of America. You may not like the Constitution. You may not like the Declaration of Independence, but it is in your interest to look into that bad boy and see what it is saying about you and what that power is before you do anything. I had a cat come up to me the other day, FBI. He, young black brother, and dark like me. He said, brother, we see you, man. You real, brother. Man, I got all the young homies. We ready, man. We locked, we loaded, we ready, because white men don't understand. I said, look, brother, number one, I ain't picking up nothing. I ain't killing nobody, ain't gonna get killed, ain't trying to hurt nobody. I'm not for violence. I tell you what, though, if that's what y'all want to do, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it, okay? But before you do it, please look into the Constitution, look into the 14th Amendment, look into the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Find out who you are before you take an emotional, stupid mistake and get yourself wiped out. You don't believe me? Ask the Indians. Oh, excuse me. Oh, they're not here, are they? You know, I saw them brothers called Ain't Fucking Around No More. I bet that's an FBI agent. I bet it. And I told that agent, I said, we talked about Ain't Fucking Around No More. I said to him, I looked right into his eyes. I said, you know, brother, that's how the Panthers got it. The brothers got a little bit of knowledge, college educated dudes, they got some knowledge, and they figured out how we've been screwed over, and they got mad, not angry, mad. And they were mad, and they correctly criticized the United States. FBI stuck up in there, some brothers said, hey man, y'all need to get some weapons, man, because this honky don't understand nothing. He's a violent cat. He built a country on violence, and violence he understands. Taken out, didn't they? And I said, you know, you watch fucking around and see what happens to them. I'll bet you FBI's all up in there. Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I wanted to kind of go back to what you were talking about concerning violence, especially like violence that's in like predominantly Black communities. I wrote an article on my blog, and this is not a shameless plug, people. I promise I'm going somewhere with this, on ADOShealthandwellness.com. And I talked about how I know in Chicago, we're pushing to get a resolution that was passed already into law about declaring violence as a public health crisis. and how this is being echoed a lot, in different municipalities in the United States. And one of the things that I did a little case study on is the most violent neighborhood in Chicago, which is West Garfield Park. And one of the things that I discovered is that in that particular neighborhood alone, it's 18% unemployment. 43% of the families live under the federal poverty line. 93% of that neighborhood is Black. And I'm pretty sure the majority of it is ADOS. And I then looked into, well, where have we seen this kind of like before, as far as like violence equated to poverty and wealthlessness? And I looked at the Prohibition era. And if we even think about some of our past leadership, like the Kennedys and their father being a bootlegger, and that's how he got his money, and how all these particular groups, the Irish, the Italians, the Jews, the Eastern Europeans, specifically the Polish, that were all discriminated against as far as like being locked out, not being able to completely assimilate in some cases into whiteness at that particular time. Those were the main groups that experienced the highest portion of violence in their communities during this time period.
Right.
So, and one of the things that went in all of this particular research that I was even doing, it was like, there is a direct correlation. Direct correlation between violence, how people act out when they're in violence, and poverty. It is, and the thing about it is that is the main thing that is continuously very prevalent in our communities, and no one wants to address it. And then Arthur and I did a show a couple of weeks back about the Kerner Commission that was put together in 1968 by Lyndon B. Johnson. And he really wanted them to say that, oh, well, all these riots that's happening, in mostly these Negro communities is because of them, right? And what ended up happening is that when they really did the research, they said, no, the riots are happening directly because of racism.
Right.
Directly because of it. But no one in the administration at that particular time wanted to ever address it on the macro level the way that it needed to. And one of the things that they did say is that in order to even begin to start the process of dealing with these riots like we see now, and even the violence that happens in our neighborhoods, is going to take massive government spending.
Right. And during that time, because I wasn't alive at that time, they kept all things regarding the Kerner Commission report contained to just conversation. No movement, just conversations. And any Black leaders that were like a bit pliable, that want to move on the recommendations of the commission, they were eventually bought off and given jobs and curtailed and a whole lot of stuff. And then eventually, by the end of 1971, you didn't hear any more about the Kerner Commission.
If I can interject as well, you can just compare the way we grew up in our communities, where our people were benefactors of affirmative action, right, and had manufacturing jobs. Even if you didn't have a college degree, I promise you, when I went to college in '84, when I came back for summers, I was working in the GM factories for $20 an hour. And you now have a federal government in 2020 sitting up here acting like $15 an hour is a livable wage commensurate with the cost of living. Now, that might be so in some of the smaller markets, but nobody can do a thing with $15 an hour here in Los Angeles, okay, or New York City or Chicago, where the cost of living is exorbitant. I mean, you got studios out here in LA going for, $1,500 a month. And what they don't want to address is, yes, being poor makes us a target. When you rob us of resources, let me just back that up. Were we murdering people at the rate they are now when we were coming up in the same Black communities? When we had resources and affirmative action and the capacity to buy homes and the capacity to educate our children and money that was being poured into the Black public school system and not parsed out to the white neighborhoods. I remember distinctly here in Southern California where I could afford to buy property, which was a slightly marginal community. They gave me 100% financing and $157.87 at closing and gave me 2 months to pay the mortgage. But when it was time for my daughter to go to school, I had school of choice. She was embarking on kindergarten. I was able to choose between 12 top-notch schools that, yes, although I had to drive her to, they were available to me. Then she gets to the 5th grade. So she's out of this cozy cul-de-sac where she's going to school with white folks with resources for, she's probably about 2% of the Black population on the campus. The rest are Asians and Latinos, although small. The predominance was white. So there was a school down the street from us, 4 miles from my home, all white school, number 1. These are all public schools. When we got to 5th grade, they gave us three choices for middle school, school of choice. No one educated us about how we as Black parents in slightly marginal communities should not pick the top 3 because everybody's picking the top 3. They want their children who have been groomed in these very wealthy white communities with public dollars. We want our children to go to the middle schools of the same ilk. They kicked every last one of the Black and brown children back into the hood. They literally want to break my daughter's confidence on the back of the jungle to get the API scores up while robbing those schools of resources. So I'm saying this to say, what do you expect of Blacks besides murder and crime in their communities amongst the people they live with when you rob them of a right to equal education under the law? Let me tell you what I did. I went to a public school where the superintendent was for some type of meeting because he refused to respond to my emails, begging to get my daughter up out the jungle so she could go to a school commensurate with her K-5. And he wants to sit up in here in this meeting and talk about how he went to school in the jungle. You know, mofo, they not the same. The minute I spoke, he knew I was the one to write the email because that's how clear I write. You can hear me speak when I lay your ass out in an email about mine. So anyway, he said, I will speak to you. He didn't want that out. He didn't want it to come out. He says, are you Angela Jones? You damn straight. I'm the only Black with my Creole girlfriend and her daughter and my child. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, damn, I am Angela. I'm Angela, that's my surname. Nirvana's my middle. But I said, yes, that's who I am. And so he says, I will speak to you after the meeting. Okay. And so I was like, yes, you will. He came over there and gave me a solution that was 20 miles each way from my home. Not the school that's 4 miles from my house. He put us 20 miles from the home so that she could be in a quality school versus in my backyard. So this is what's happening in the hood. Let's not pretend like we somehow started hating each other and assassinating each other without cause. You rob a community of education. You rob them of jobs. Out here in California, you literally have to speak Spanish to get a job interview. We have gone from 16% to 6%, and they flattened that with African and Caribbean immigrants. You rob them of loans for small businesses while you give set-asides to Asians and Hispanics and East Asian Indians to come up in the community and run it. The Saudis, everybody running your own communities. You rob them of access to livable wages. I'm talking American wages. I'm not talking $15 an hour. That you need 3 of them jobs and nobody's home to manage your children like we used to be. My mama was home. She put Sunday dinner on the table every night, Sunday to Sunday. You want to do this to our communities and point the finger in the same way you brought drugs and guns into our community and then want to blame us for crack addiction and then want to put 1 million Black men in jail. That's what you want to do to the Black community. And I'm sick of the puckery. I'm sick of our people constantly being berated, constantly being dragged when this government, both Democrats and Republicans alike, have been instrumental in keeping us tethered to the bottom, and we are in the fight of our lives to prevent from becoming the permanent underclass in the country our ancestors made cotton king to the tune of $42 trillion. My apologies. The topic gets me a little heated.
You ain't gotta apologize, sis. I mean, yeah. Yeah, you see, you got love in the chat. All that, yes, all that, yes. We are here for it. So no, don't feel bad. No, it's true.
Right.
I mean, the thing about it is this, like, look, the reason why we even have these particular, shows and we're constantly talking about these things is because we have to realize that as a group, we've been locked out. We have. And we are constantly carrying the burden of slavery and Jim Crow continuously for 400 plus years. And when we and I know for myself, and I'm so grateful to Tony and Yvette and Dr. Darity for really, speaking on these particular issues with data, because like oftentimes, like you may have different experiences that may seem anecdotal. And then you may experience things where you may see like one off of it looked like racism here and it looked like racism there, but you not really, but again, you think, oh, King marched in the 60s, so it's okay. And I know I was under that veil for a very long time, and it wasn't until like I really got involved with the data and I was like, oh my goodness. And I knew something was wrong. I just didn't have the language, but I'm glad for that political education, because once I actually got it, I was like, okay, this is the problem. This is what needs to be done. This is what needs to happen in order for it to be fixed. And, and especially when we were seeing, I know this is how I felt at the beginning of 2020 and from 2019 and those and previous to that, when we were constantly being berated with these images of Black bodies being killed by police and vigilantes. And it was like almost like for a moment there in 2020, it was like another dead Black person every other week that the news was putting up. Oh, this one got shot. Oh, this one got shot. Oh, this one got shot. We was like, God damn, and it does, and it makes you, and it does something into you internally, because you're constantly seeing these particular images. And then when you also see the positionality that we hold on top of these particular images, yes, it does something to your psyche. It does something to your very well-being. Yes, it makes you angry. Yes, it makes you mad as hell. And you don't want to, and you want to do something in order for it to get away. But the only thing that we can,
I didn't mean to cut you off, but understand you constantly blame us for the cost of slavery that this government is setting us up to eat. That's manifesting in Black on Black murder. Yeah. You know you're sending a dog whistle to these race soldiers to continue to assassinate us and make what's the word I'm looking for? Just that it's gratuitous.
Yeah, it's dog whistle. It's exactly what it is. That's dog whistle politics.
It's meant
Yeah.
to traumatize you and make you fearful in the same way they did with the slave patrols. These cops are nothing but the slave patrols of 2020. So you rob us of everything. Real quick, a stat down here in Los Angeles to help you understand how these Democrats are making Republicans and immigrants their priority this election cycle over giving us reparations and a Black agenda. Down here in Los Angeles, ADOS are 44% of the educated, 6% of the private sector, $200 liquid, to African immigrants, $60,000 liquid, to Kamala's East Asian Indian folks, $245,000 liquid. We are $8 liquid in Boston, to Caribbean immigrant, $12,000 liquid. I'm sorry, 700 total assets in Boston, to Caribbean immigrants, 12,000 total assets in Boston. We're $11 liquid in Miami.
Right.
Everybody is doing better than ADOS. Everybody. And so instead of giving us tangibles, you want to give us more identity politics. That's what you're doing. You want to give us somebody that looks like us, who ain't us. She is Brahmin caste. We are the Dalits, the untouchables. Martin Luther King went over to India and made that comparison when he came back. She is Brahmin. That is white, because the color of white in this country is green.
That's right.
I'm sorry. And to Ted,
go ahead.
What is the percentage of homeless in Los Angeles that are ADOS? What's the percentage?
Well, first of all, we are over 60% of the homeless population nationally.
Wow.
Yeah.
And primarily in urban centers. Here in
Brother
LA.
Brother Ted, and I'm sorry, the last article I read that Black Americans overall, about 40% of the homeless in the United States, and about 50% of the families in the United States are homeless that are Black or African American.
Is that before or after COVID?
That's before COVID. That's before COVID. I'm pretty sure it's gotten worse.
And here in LA, these are my statistics. 60%. That's what I've come up with. And I believe we're really 11% of the national population. We're not as big as we think. But the point is, 60% in all the major urban centers across the country. And here in LA County, we're only 8%. In LA City, maybe 9% of the general population. But in each of those jurisdictions, respectively, we're over 40% of the homeless. Now on Skid Row, which is called Central City East, downtown, from the hotels, all the homeless, from the hotels to the motels to the missions and shelters and halfway houses to the sidewalks, 90% are Black men, over 90% are Black men, followed by Black women, and then a mixture of all the other ethnic groups that are out there. And it's been that way ever since I was on the streets back in 1985 when I first moved downtown to LA on purpose to understand this matter. Homelessness, as far as I'm concerned, is the ultimate statement of what's wrong in society. Maxine Waters pointed that out to us 35 years ago, and she was absolutely correct about that. The ultimate statement is not this. We focus on what can we do to help the homeless. Usually when I get in conversations, the first thing people want to say to me is they got a program to help the homeless. And I say, no, you cannot help the homeless. It's not about the homeless. It's about our society. Yes. Our society is stressed out. That's what Maxine Waters meant. Homelessness is the manifestation of what is wrong within our society: greed, and capitalism, uncontrolled capitalism, and a bunch of other stuff. Overpopulation, cost of living, all those things that homeless people, or people we call homeless, or people who've been pushed out of society, had nothing to do with. Homeless peoples are a consequence of what is wrong in society. Now, when it comes to Black homeless, again, of the 402 years of us being in this country, suffering under unrequited injustice, homelessness is the ultimate statement of that experience.
Mm.
The warfare in our community is the second ultimate statement. And the hidden Holocaust is the fact that 40% of the abortions in this country are black babies. See, all this stuff is kept hushed for a reason. Now,
20 million black babies aborted since 73. 20 million black babies, and folks want to mourn Ginsburg.
Yeah, I heard even more than that actually, but that's a lot of people.
By now, that's an old stat, but that is a travesty. When these Hispanics are now 56 million to our 35 million in this country.
Yeah, exactly. And see, and this is why Donald Trump got in trouble with the Democratic Party, because what the Democrats were doing, and the Republicans allowed it, because if you know your history, it was the Republican Party that created the 14th Amendment. But first they created the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which in that act, only we, I tell everybody this, only we Choctaw slave descendants have the authority, if we unite, to actually put the president of the United States in jail. We have that power. The white people, or the immigrants, the willing immigrants, they can impeach, but they can't do what we can do. That was granted to us, not because we're black, but because of the way in which our ancestors were brought into this country against their will in chains. So to rectify 245 years of Choctaw slavery, born a slave, live a slave, die a slave, your kids ain't yours, they're the masters, that has a psychological damage. I use the term, it's been inscribed on the walls of our DNA, and it's been inscribed on the walls of white people's DNA. That's where we get the idea of systemic racism. And so along with the Democrats and the Republicans have allowed it to go down. Immigrants, whether legal or illegal, the first thing they do when they come to this country is they holler civil rights to the federal government. And Angela was hitting on that, about how they get all these grants and all these opportunities that we somehow are denied. And they say, look at my skin color, I'm with the blacks. They say I'm a minority like the blacks. Okay, and here comes a woman from Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, wherever, pregnant illegally in the country, or gets pregnant. That kid is born. That kid gets our citizenship. That's why they're coming and having so many of them. See, and he women are coming here from Asia, right in LA. You got these hotels in Koreatown where they will come in pregnant, have that baby to get that citizenship right, and they go back to use that in the future. Now, as I said, I never liked Donald Trump personally, and I'm not a fan of Trump, never have been, never will be a fan. But when that dude said what he said, I'm gonna build a wall to end illegal immigration. Why? Because it hurts black people.
That's right.
Else. Trump is almost said that. I jumped. I said, what that white boy say? Because that's something I knew, right? He may have got it from me. I don't know, because I've been out there dealing with that shit, right? The point is, he went on to say, the 14th Amendment does not belong to anchor children. It belongs to black people. He calls African Americans, belong to black people. Why? Because we were slaves, the only ones. And that was granted special power for them to catch up with the rest of us. And that's why Hillary then went off on him. Remember, he was their buddy at one time. So
that's right.
If he was racist now, then what were they doing hanging out with a racist then? And even the rappers was hanging with him. So what happened? He put his finger on the pulse of this nation, because Hillary then was going to open up that border, and then all these people just rush in and totally eliminate us, make us.
And that's going to happen if they win. If they get a trifecta, they're allowing 11 million more Hispanics to cross that border. That will put them at 67 million to our 35 million as we die disproportionately from COVID and executions government sanctioned.
And that's why what they're doing is they are what I call ethno-racial cleansing.
Yes, they
They
are.
are stealing our identity. I call it identity theft. Now, I don't blame them for doing what they got to do to survive in this world.
Right.
If we, I really blame the government.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Okay?
do too.
The federal government's supposed to
Yeah.
protect us, okay? But if we, to whom this law was granted and given because of our experience in this country, if we don't know that, our identity, other people are going to assume that which is ours. We're going to stand there and look at them, and this is what has been going on for decades. Now, it's not our fault, because what happened, you go back and look at this, you ever hear that statement, you want to hide something from black people, what do you do with it?
Put it
Put
in
it
a
in a book.
Or write in a document, or put in the Constitution, special Constitution, okay? In 1866 and 68, post the Civil War, to end chattel slavery. That's what the Emancipation did. It changed it from a civil war to the war to liberate slaves and end chattel slavery. In 1866 and 68, when they wrote the Civil Rights Act of 1866, the first such act in the history of the nation, and then they then codified it into the Constitution to protect it so no one could repeal it because it was only a congressional act. When they codified to the 14th Amendment in 1868, 99% of us, whether we're free or freemen, slaves or freemen, did not know how to read.
Yeah.
We did not know how to read. In fact, when the white boys, Republicans, would come down south to try to educate and teach us to read so we can be literate, so we can look into the Constitution, find out who we are, they would lynch them white boys. They would burn black churches. They would burn black people. That's what they do to us. The KKK, to drive us away from getting that education. So what happened with that, I believe, my theory is that it became a cultural thing. Black people don't read. Now, in 1952, Dwight David Eisenhower, he got behind the Brown versus the Board of Education, and they passed that. Supreme Court enacted it in 1954. 1957, black students wanted to go to Little Rock High School in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Right.
The governor said Negroes are not allowed. Dwight David Eisenhower said the Constitution says they are allowed. They have to be there. He said, well, I ain't gonna let him in. He says, well, I'm gonna federalize the National Guard. And he sent the National Guard in, locked and loaded, to shoot some white folks. They tried to stop these black kids from getting that education. Now, from what educators tell me, since that time, we black folks have about a 4th grade reading ability. I'm not counting the talented 10th like us. We part of that. We read, we comprehend. But most of us don't. I was with some folks out here, brother couldn't even read, man. So, wow, okay, I get it now. The point I'm making is most of us have a 4th grade. So my campaign is not to be anyone's leader in the sense of this is how you should do what you need to do to liberate black folks in America, make them whole. My campaign, whatever you're gonna do, whether you're going to the homeless, you're going to have to, the inner city youth, the elderly, education, whatever you do, make sure first and foremost you know your identity in this country. Remember when I started off the beginning of this conversation? That you have to know who you are, whether you like America or not. You got to know who impact identity. You have to tell me about that in a minute, okay? I want to hear about it. You got to know who you are in the United States, not Africa. Who you are in the United States, okay? You got to know what that Constitution says about you. Learn it, embrace it, and then go get what you need to get. In fact, in that document, the 1866 Civil Rights Act is really our reparations papers, y'all. It really is. That is the ticket. Not only reparations, but I've discovered all the federal land in this country and resources, we have access to if we want it. The reason why we're not getting it, because we don't know. We're like a crown prince who has amnesia and we're lost among the paupers.
Before you continue with that thought, Brother Ted, we had a question in the chat, and I think that where you're going is going to lead into what you're about to say from our past conversations. So we had a question that was asked: why haven't you took these arguments to Congress? And can you just respond to that? I
Sure,
would appreciate
absolutely. My
it.
sister, whoever that was, I've been going to Congress with this matter since 2005. I've taken it to
Mm,
Maxine Waters. I've taken it to the Congressional Black Caucus. I've taken it to Congressman Danny Davis, who's a friend of Barack Obama. I've taken it to the Congressional Karen Bass,
mhm.
all of them. John Lewis, uh, Elijah Cummings.
He needs an army.
I thank you, Angela. Angela, we first talked. Remember, we talked about that. And so, in fact, the White House even said when I got in there, I mean, I broke through. They asked me, said, "Well, Ted, where's your follow? Where's your army?" And I ain't got no army. I'm just me, man. I'm just, an activist out here. So yeah, my sister, I've tried that. Now, let me tell you something that we do have in Congress that the Congressional Caucus has hidden from us. For 55 years, we black folks have been hollering, okay, white people, you've been trying to rectify things and all this stuff, you've been programs. But you know something? By law, you held us as slaves by law. And by law, you racially discriminated us, called Jim Crow. By law, you did these things. But never have you, by law, apologized to us for what you've done. We never thought that was possible in 1960s. We should laugh about it. That this white man, this racist dog, he'll never humble himself to right and law what he did. Well, in 2008, Congress passed a resolution, which did exactly that. In it said, I'm a paraphrase just to say for time's sake, and you can go read it yourself. It's on my website, mattersofblacklives.com, mattersofblacklives.com, and look up the 2008 apology resolution. In it, for slavery and Jim Crow, in it, folks, it said, it identified how wrong slavery was. They said it was the worst crime in human history. White folks saying this now. Okay, so when you read it, it'll sound like Malcolm X wrote this sucker. Okay, they said that we understand the generational damages it has caused upon you. Bill Clinton and George Bush, bipartisan, both basically said the reason that black people suffer today is because of what we white people did to them yesterday. Then they go on to say, we apologize. Will you forgive us? Then here's the word they used. They said, we want to reconcile with you. And they committed themselves to it. Now, Barack Obama had just gotten, this happened on July the 26th. 1 month later, he received the Democratic nomination. He knew about this. The Congressional Black Caucus knew about it. Every Christian bishop knew about it. Every civil rights agency knew about it. And they asked him, the media said, aren't you happy about it? They said, no. And the media said, wow, go look it up, y'all, look it up. They said, it don't go far enough. And they said, what you mean? The word reparations ain't in it, dummies. See why black people don't read? Reconciliation is reparations. It is more than reparations. It's whatever you deem will make it right with you, and whatever it is. You know why I didn't do it, folks? Let me tell you why. One, them African Americans in Congress, they don't know what to do about the suffering of our people in the communities. They know how to take the shit up. They know how to point to the police. They know how to point to white folks, knowing that we don't have the education. We are basically emotionally reactive. And they will keep it going. Keep what? Keep us voting for them. I'm fighting for y'all. Well, you losing. You may be fighting, but you're losing. Okay? Money, Jesse, Al, pimping the situation. The last thing them Negroes want, not Negroes, the last thing them African Americans want is what we're talking about right here, a resolution to this matter, because they will be out of a job. And see, that's another reason why they don't dig me. Number one, I'm dark-skinned, okay? Number two, I'm uneducated in their book. Number three, I'm a po-ass homeless dude. So how in the world can these highfalutin, educated, rich people gonna follow a nigga like me? Ain't gonna happen. That's why they keep me away from the president. Okay. And that's why when I go to Congress, they push me aside. I got more support from white congressmen people than from my black congress people. Okay. Now, so what do we do about it?
Yep. She voted.
One more point. Mr. Obama, and white people tell me this, and everybody else knows it's true. He was elected not because of his policies, because he was half black and half white.
That's real talk. He was half
real talk.
White
half
folks, white folks,
African and half white. And
well,
his
whatever
mother,
it is, yeah,
and he descends from slave owners.
yeah, whatever it is, you're right, Andrew. I'm with you 100%. I mean, I saw that cat coming 10 miles away. But the point is, white people felt that a guy like him could bring about the healing between black and white folks in this country. Barack Obama could have taken that document that night. He could have went out on that stage. He said, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know something. I know why you voted for me. And in my hand, I have a document that black folks have been needing for a long time. And this is the beginning. Oh, no, he wouldn't do it. He had 8 years to do that, right?
Yeah.
And I talked to white folks out here, right? And one day this white lady came by, liberal from Santa Monica, People's Republic of Santa Monica. And we were talking because I got the document on my billboard out there. And she said, you know, we've been talking amongst ourselves, liberals, who voted for Obama. And she said, we heard that he had some kind of a document that could have brought black and white people together. Could this be it? I said, ma'am, this is that document. And that's why I got it out here, because I'm going to expose it to the world. The Michael Brown, all the stuff that happened, trade, all that stuff that happened last 15 years, that did not have to happen, y'all.
Of course it didn't.
And if you notice, every time one of the brothers get killed out there by the police, right? Jesse, Al, especially now, him, and what's that dude's name? Crump.
Ben Crump.
Oh, Ben Crump.
Oh, that African getting over. Yeah, that African getting over, okay? The first thing they do, they get out there and they put on a show and they get popularized off the death and the funeral of a black man killed by a racist cop. But what are they doing about it? Nothing. You don't hear nothing from them now, do you?
No.
We see it. Word.
No, Breonna Taylor's been shut all the way down. That's been shut all the way down.
Good. That's good.
They got that one off.
That's good for you, for ADOS. That's good for me. That's good for us. Because it's silence. We just have to feel it. So I'm coming to you, ADOS. I can't do this alone. I'm trying to get as many people as possible. White, black, brown, doesn't matter. If we can unite under this idea here, we will get the White House, the federal government, Congress, and the Supreme Court, because they're in that law too, on the back foot. Once you get them on the back foot, we're now on the offense, they're on the defense, and we are now calling the shots. They have to respond to us. 2, please, black folks, study your citizenship right, your federal citizenship right. You're not a common citizen. You are a special citizen. Your official address is 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We can have anything we want. The key is we must be united. All of us don't have to be, but a good significant number of us with a clear agenda as to what we want this man to do. Now, when this flag goes upside down and the president says, come on, nigga, let's talk. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to look the man in the eye and I'm going to give him point A, B, C, and D and how he can use his power to stop the warfare in our community. I know how to do that. I've learned what it is. I know the secrets of it. But I can't do it. Same with the homeless without presidential power. Black people, according to this law, the president of the United States is our personal bodyguard. If he loses us, he loses the nation, because the nation is built on the back of chattel slaves. They know it. That's why they gave us this law, because they know if they don't rectify this thing, the nation is lost. Now, there are some people who know this, some white folks, but they're anonymous. They're not going to tell us everything, They want to see if we're willing to dig this information out on our own, because if not, what we're going to do, we're going to be dependent on the federal government to take care of us, which has been a big mistake.
Yes.
And that stuff started in 1974. That's when that stuff started. Now, we can no longer allow them to fix us. We have to tell them how they use their white privilege built on the back of our ancestors, how to fix the children of the ancestors today. That's where I'm coming from. Now, the rest of you, if you want to go get you some guns, if you want to march, if you want to burn shit up, whatever y'all want to do it. But before you do that, please know who you are. That is my #1 objective, to get this campaign where every black citizen in this country knows this law. Then y'all do what you want to do. I'm good. I'm going to Hawaii to be homeless.
Brother Ted, we have a couple of questions in the chat that I wanted to address. One of them was, actually, this was a couple of them. You mentioned in the Civil Rights Act of 1866 that talked about a portion of where we could actually arrest the president, which I'm really okay with that. But can you tell us exactly where that is, so we can, start doing our research and all that great stuff?
It's in Section 1. Says that we ought to have, Section 1 says, among other things, to full and equal benefit of all laws and proceedings for security of person and property as is enjoyed by white citizens. Section 2, and be it further enacted that any person who, under the color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom, such as anchorism, shall subject or cause to be subject any inhabitant of any state or territory to the deprivation of any right secured or protected by this act. This act is the act of federal citizenship, or different punishment, pains, or penalties on account of such person having at any time been held in a condition of slavery or involuntary servitude, except as a punishment of crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, or by reason of his color or race, than is prescribed for the punishment of white persons, shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor, and on conviction shall be punished by fine not exceeding $1,000 or imprisonment not exceeding 1 year, or both at the discretion of the court. It doesn't say except the president. Any person, the president of the United States, is liable. So is the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and every Congress member and every government official is liable to us. But see, we don't know this. And it goes on in Section 3, it talks about the role of the Department of Justice, which was created specifically to protect us. It comes out of here. Section 4, it says that the president can authorize Arthur, for example. Arthur, you are going to be my envoy in, what's your town, Arthur? Where you at? Where y'all at?
Chicago. I'm in Chicago.
You are authorized in Chicago if you recognize any violation in Chicago of Section 1 of this act. You have the right, it says here, the authority to actually I'm ahead of this thing here. My papers are all, as you can see, they're all jumbled up here. You have the right. Well, I can't find it now, but y'all need to go look at it. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Let's see. The officers and agents of the Freedmen's Bureau, which we need to bring back, by the way, and every other officer who may be specifically empowered by the President of the United States shall be, and they are hereby, specially authorized and required to dispense the United States to institute proceedings against all and every person who shall violate the provisions of this act and cause him or them to be arrested and imprisoned or bailed, and the case may be for trial before such a court, United States or territorial, as this act has cognizance of the offense. Arthur, you will have that power.
Wow.
And you can have
Brother Ted, which section were you just reading from?
That was Section 4.
Okay, one second, family. I'm going to put it up because I brought it up because that's what I do. Let's see.
Ted, while she does that, I want to ask, how do we usurp the current CBC and the current Congress to get, how do we as the ADOS movement get our rights fulfilled by the current president by overstepping Congress? Wouldn't we have to appeal on some level to our Congress people in all of our respective states to get them coalesced around enforcing our 14th Amendment, our 1866 rights? How do we, I don't know how we get from here to getting, how do we get from here to fulfilling what is already ours by the entitlements of the 14th Amendment? How do we do that?
The first thing we do is we get that flag. We start this movement. Get that flag turned upside down. Unite us all. White, black, brown, red, yellow, under this law. You unite us under that. What'll happen then, the president's gonna have to say, come talk to me. And the Congressional Black Caucus, they're gonna have to man up because we're gonna put them on front street. We will break. See, people don't believe that this can actually happen. I believe it can happen. And I believe especially young people need a romantic cause, something bigger than themselves to make them work and strive for it. If we can pull this off, get a nationwide movement going, Angela, they'll be knocking at our door to want to talk to us. Because you know what, Angela? Actually, as we begin to move down this road, as we form ourselves into a body politic, we can have Maxine Waterstone in jail. You ain't got to go to that office. And I teach people this. I teach these white folks this. As this whole 2, 4, 6 year voting cycle, that ain't gonna work. You even repealing people. Look, this is what I base it on. Citizens arrest. You and I are equal citizens, right? If you mess me up, I can have you arrested. You can have me arrested. Now, if you and I have a business and we hire somebody and we hire a person, now we pay that person's salary. Now, is that person socially, status-wise equal to us? No, they're inferior to us. Therefore, we are the boss, they're the employee. Don't we not pay Congress members' salary as we the people, according to the Constitution? Don't we pay the president's salary? See, our revolution has to begin here in the mind. In the mind. Once we think right, everything else will follow. If you read the Constitution, for example, it's in 2 pieces. The first piece is called the preamble. That's the head. That's where it says, we the people of the United States do order for a more perfect union, yada, 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 okay? The rest of it, the 7 articles of the Constitution with the 27 amendments, that is the law. That is our weapon, our tool. That part is totally dead. It means absolutely nothing if we the people don't activate it. You will not find anywhere in the Constitution where the president, the vice president, or elected officials are to perfect the union or to bring justice and tranquility to the community. It's not there. They are there as tools for we the people to make that happen. But see, here's the trick, which is why the founding fathers had the argument with King George III, who represented monarchy. George was saying, look, you guys got a noble idea about people governing themselves, but history and nature shows us that people would rather be told what to do by a strong man. And the founding fathers said, well, you're right about that. That's why we call it New Order Ages. We believe that through the Republican form of government, with God, we can transcend that age-old tradition. King George said, let's have at it. And right now, because we the people, white and black, don't understand our constitutional power, the people who do are running amok over us and having their way because we think they are our leaders. We think that we're their fans. No. But the trick is, because we're so different as human beings, what is the cohesive element? For example, every time a brother get killed out here by the police, everybody come together and we unify. As we get further away from the event, we disunify. I watch black folks out here in Venice Beach. They spending that money, that pre-reparations stimulus money. My God.
We're gonna call that hold on. We're gonna call that pre-reparation stimulus. We're just gonna call it stimulus. That $1,200 check that can't pay nobody mortgage, nobody rent, or you may get like a little bit of food in your house. Continue.
That's right. That's what I'm saying, because what they're doing with that money, instead of sitting down saying, "Now look, y'all, let's pull this little bit of money together. Let's support a business. Let's do this. Let's do that." We out here burning up, giving all these white people, all these Asians, all these Hispanics, all that money. See.
You know what, Ted? I want you to go a little deeper into something that you brought up earlier. What do you feel is motivating sincere white people to help us to get our reparations and to help us to get some justice? What do you feel is their motivation for that? Because they really don't have to. They still have white privilege.
Guilt.
What is that?
Guilt. Human guilt. Human guilt. Human guilt. See, y'all, in 1968, after King was assassinated, I didn't like King. Like most people today don't like. Most blacks today don't like King. We toss his name around, but we don't like King because we don't obey what the man told us to do. But when he was assassinated, I sat down and watched television, and I saw white people, North, South, crying the blues over this black man. I said, "Who was this guy?" And I began to listen. And I saw black folks tearing up the neighborhoods. I saw white folks just crying their eyes out. Instead of Jesse Jackson, who assumed the mantle, going in, explaining to these convicted white people what the deal was and how we got here and how to move forward, they saw an opportunity to come up with what we now call white guilt and political correct speech. And they still have it. They want to. I've gone around black and white people, and they want to see a change. They want to do better. But they're not getting any instructions from us.
Well, one of the things that I will say to that, we had a content creator and author who was a conservative come on to our show.
White guy.
Yeah, white guy. We could go. And he's very conservative, and he believes in business and wealth building and all this other stuff. And he did a whole show on how conservatives can get behind reparations. And even though he had like some of the logistics of it was a bit, wonky, and Arthur, and then I came in and got him straight. But one of the things that he was just basically saying is that, the reason why he was saying that this should be done is because of the sacrifice that Black people have made for this country. And he was also the forced sacrifice, right? But also he mentioned that he was not able to get anything that he has right now without him being a veteran and taking advantage of the GI Bill. And when he learned about, Black Americans that were soldiers and who were not able to take advantage of the same set-asides for defending their country.
Oh, and also finding out that was not anecdotal, that was normal.
That was normal, yeah.
Right.
And that's one of the things that really has said, like, this is not right. And even he said that, himself personally, even though he believes in reparations and it should be done, he was saying that, he himself doesn't necessarily deal with white guilt. He just says it's just right. And I do believe that there are a section of white people that are out there that actually support, rights for Black folk, ADOS people, and reparative justice. But it's not a lot of them that are very vocal about it. And then you do have some that are like, yeah, I want to do something, but I don't know what to do, because as you stated before, Brother Ted, a lot of the Black Lives Matter and stuff like that is ahead of, as far as like the hashtag is there, but there's no direction, right?
Exactly.
And so I would also tell, and that's why even like I have conversations even with some of my friends, my white friends, who ask me about these particular issues, and I got to break it down to them. I'm like, well, one, this is the deal. You know, slavery was 246 years, Jim Crow was 100 years, and that particular time was systematic plunder of America's original citizens. And I say that because we were and still are. And they never made it right. They never made it right. And we are here.
And that's
yeah, go ahead.
And that's because we have been ignorant of the law that those particular white people put in our hands because we did not know how to read. Now that we know how to read and comprehend what we read and recognize the time in which we live in, this is our moment. Let me read you something out of the apology resolution that they wrote. It says, whereas a genuine apology is an important and necessary first step in the process of racial reconciliation. Whereas an apology for centuries of brutal dehumanization and injustices cannot erase the past, but confession of the wrongs committed can speed racial healing and reconciliation, twice now didn't said it, and help Americans confront the ghost of their past. And then they say, whereas it is important for this country, which legally recognized slavery through the Constitution and its laws, to make a formal apology for slavery for its successor, Jim Crow, so that it can move forward once again and seek reconciliation, justice, and harmony for all of its citizens. You see?
Okay, where's the money part in that statement?
Well, the money's up to you. No. See, don't get caught up in the money now.
He said restitution. What didn't you read restitution earlier? Didn't you read restitution earlier?
Listen. Reconciliation means whatever you want and need, whereby I am now okay in your sight. They have humbled themselves. But see, they're admitting they can't fix us. They tried. They can't fix us.
So you know what? So my suggestion is to take that document that you just wrote, Brother Ted, couple that with ADOS101.com and the Black Agenda, and then make a nice little package and take it right to Congress.
I agree with you 100%. You need to call the Congressional Black Caucus, get the president of the chair on the line, and you ask them about this. You ask them, how come y'all did not bring this out before? We want to know.
What was the name of that document again?
It's called the 2008 Apology Resolution. Simple, meaning needs a presidential signature. HR 194 for slavery and Jim Crow. Now, I've been to the office of the congressman who devised this, and it comes from a previous attempt back in the 90s to do this. It got shut down. I guess the time wasn't right. A guy by the name of Anthony P. Hall, another white dude from Ohio, congressman, and this guy named Steve Cohen, Congressman Cohen from Tennessee, 9th District, all black district. He's an Ashkenazi Jew, and he came up with this one. And so when I was in D.C. in October, and we stopped off in the office, I said, now, to this young black lady who was the legislative analyst on it, I said to her, now, I want to move on this. Is this still valid? She said, oh, yeah, it's still going. We just need a presidential signature. Okay. I said, fine. So when I get back here to L.A., as I begin to move things forward, I call Sister. Sister won't talk to me. I call her time and time and again. Won't talk to me. You know what that tells me? We on to something. All the more reason why. See, now, what you're saying, Cynthia, is that's music to my ears, sister. What you're saying. Yes, ADOS, take it, own it. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I also gave this to a white dude. I met him through another white friend out here who supports all this. He said, he was on the internet. I'll send it to you if y'all want to see it. And he was reading some apology. He was all teary-eyed and carrying on about this. He did a whole George Floyd thing. So we talked. He came and we visited. And I've been educating. He said, I didn't know this. I said, yes, sir. Because he's running for president. If not this term, the next one. And I said, if you want to get known, dude, you issue this. You call that office, and you call the Congressional Black Caucus, you go after the president with this, buddy, and you will get thrown overnight. And ADOS, if y'all take this and you raise this up, y'all will, I've always said this about you from the beginning, Angela knows this, that ADOS, y'all make far more sense than Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is purely an emotional response. Y'all thinkers, whether you agree or disagree with each other or not, y'all thinkers, man. Y'all read, study, you philosophize. They don't do that. So y'all can now, America is waiting on y'all. Y'all, for y'all to articulate to these white folks, and because the whole world holler Black Lives Matter, they're waiting on y'all to tell them what it takes to reparate, to reconcile. And again, it's not just reparations and your dollar amount or your land, it's more than that, folks. Far more than that. I always say to people, how much money and material is the soul of your ancestors really worth? What you really want first and foremost, folks, the revolution begins in the mind. You want that intellectual property that the Asians, the Mexicans, the illegals, even some white folks, and even white people trying to get civil rights for whales, okay? In their heads. You got to get it out of their heads by first getting it in your head. You got to say, this room, y'all, is occupied. We feel sorry for the whales, too. We feel sorry for the Native Americans. We feel bad for the Indians. We feel, if anybody knows suffering, we chattel, slave, ADOS people, we know suffering. And we can commiserate with you. But this room is taken.
Nice. That's right. This is for us.
I talked about this before. I think that the Pan-African movement. I was talking to a young lady out here in the Pan-African movement, and they wanted me to speak on the event for the COVID, right? And I said, look, I support the Pan-African effort. I salute y'all. But you know what? I said, when you come to the table of Pan-African, whatever country you are from as a Black diaspora, you can't just come to the table with your hands out. You got to come to the table and bring something of quality and value that everybody can feed off of. I said, y'all need to leave us alone about our rights. Y'all need to leave us alone and support us in getting our federal citizenship rights. When we get that, shoot, we can bring something to the table of Pan-Africanism. But if you are constantly over here snatching off our table like Kamala Harris and all them other folks the Caribbeans are doing, you are destroying yourselves by robbing us. Support us. You're not one of us. You are an ally. Cause
well, for the people who was in the chat who was wondering about the whole Pan-African thing, there you go. So
we have documents. This document is sitting in Congress right now. We ain't got to write it. It's already there. We just got to get it activated. And you know what? Remember now, this president is vulnerable, very vulnerable, because of things he has said directly to Black folks that no president has ever said to us, right? So he's vulnerable. He's also vulnerable because last year, 2 years ago, he signed what? The 400th anniversary of commemoration of Black folks being in America. He signed that. Now, Mr. Trump, you really want to do something, and you said the 14th Amendment belonged to Black citizens. Sir, we are here now to claim that. And by the way, sir, sign the apology resolution. And while you're at it, turn the flag upside down so all these white kids who holler Black Lives Matter can't go home until they work with us through their white privilege to resolve the matters of Black lives. We got them, y'all. The element that's going to unite us is your and my federal super citizenship. We're the most powerful people, if we unite around this, than any people that's ever walked the earth. We are the Joseph. We are the remnant. We are, excuse me, little words, the saviors of the Pan-African diaspora. We are the Black Atlas of the world. If it wasn't for the United States, the world would not be what it is, the technology.
That's true.
Back of our ancestors, there be no United States. Therefore, we are the Black Atlas. When you go to mattersblacklives.com, look up Black Atlas and explains it all to you. And that is a fact. I'm sorry. My apologies.
Oh, you're fine. No, I was just going to say that you said something very, very, very integral when you talked about what's up here. And I really truly, and I've said this before, and I've heard other people say this before, when it comes to even, how to get our reparations, it starts with us knowing who we are.
Mhm.
That's where it starts.
It starts with us knowing who we are. I tell you something, when you get a real clear look of who you be, you can do a whole lot of stuff that you didn't think that you could not do.
Teach my sister.
That's exactly what this lady is saying in this book.
Yeah.
Is that right?
You can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
universal
no,
knowledge.
you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Universal
no,
knowledge. You gotta reach out
right.
and
And
get it.
identity is important.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, even when Yvette and Tone talked about, this whole thing called American Descendants of Slavery, ADOS, that, it started with, we've heard this conversation about reparations for years, right?
Oh, for years. Yeah.
But the issue is, and it was and is the whole, who is the injured party, right? And the thing about it is that in order for you to be able to do redress, repair, reconciliation, all those R's, you have to identify the injured party. And and I know that Yvette even said it too. When it comes to us, ADOS, when it comes to those who descend from chattel slavery, we have to be the first domino to fall as far as like redress and repair, because we've always led the social justice movement that has inspired the world.
Yep.
There are people running around right now hollering, not only all lives matter, which is a true statement, but babies' lives matter. Everybody's doing that now. And in a minute now, you're going to hear brown lives, Hispanic lives matter. Okay, but let me read something to you, and Cynthia, y'all. Read something to you. This come out of Martin Luther King, the young prophet, and he prophesied. I don't know if he knew he was talking about, or Holy Spirit got a hold of him, whatever, but the dude hit it right on. He said this: we're in a sense at the march in D.C. 57 years ago. In a sense, we have come to our nation's capital to cash a check.
That's right.
When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men would be guaranteed the inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, i.e. property. It is obvious today that America has, this 1963, has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Now, I ain't talking about this people of color movement.
No,
black
no,
folk.
we ain't talking about BIPOC, POC,
All
none
different
of
black
that.
folk, okay? We the color
No.
people. Okay? We the people
Right.
of color. Anyway, that's what
Right.
he's talking about. It says, instead of honoring the sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people, black lives, a bad check, which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. So we have come to cash this check, a check that will give us, upon demand, the riches of freedom and the security of justice. Now, here you go. You got $1 trillion in the bank. And you go to the bank. You say, hi, teller. I want to take out $10 million today. Bank teller says, okay, Mr. Hayes, we got that for you. Can I see your ID? Oh, wait a minute. ID, nothing. Look, this is me, Ted. I'm black. This is me. Y'all know me. I come here all the time. We know that we got that. It's clear. But the law says you got to show us some ID. And if my ID ain't in my wallet, you know what I got to do? I got to go home, in the drawer, get my ID, come back, slap it on the table, and the teller says, oh, Mr. Hayes, in what increments would you like this cash? That's what King is trying to tell us today, y'all. The white folks know they owe this. They know we are the living national treasure of America. The national treasure is not money. It's not gold, it's not property. It's human beings, you and I. We are the living treasure. In fact, if you notice, We were brought here. The first crew came here on a ship called the White Lion and the Treasure.
Mm.
We used to be chattel property. Today, based on this law, we are the living property and the national treasure of this nation. When we get that in our head, they can't argue. Nobody. That's why when I talk to folks out here, because they want to bring in the Browns and this and that, I say, wait a minute. I am personally for racial justice, because racial justice means if my race is just, your race is unjust. If your race is just, my race is unjust, or ethnicity. I believe in experiential justice, economic and political justice, and identity justice. We are not in the American dream. We don't have the American dream, as Dr. King said. I have a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I dream that one day y'all white folks will live up to the words y'all wrote about us. That's my dream in America. All we got to do, ladies and gentlemen, believe me, I cannot prove it. I've been close to them one time. They flew me to a special event out in Las Vegas where you can't drive up, you can't get a bus or taxi or Uber there. They got to pick you up in a limo and take you way out somewhere, and they got to take you back. Only there's no name on the place. And they treated me royally. And apparently, since this law was written, there are some secret societies of white folks, Republicans, real Republicans, not these fecks, these feckless people you see here today. I mean, real Republicans. And they know this to be true. They are simply waiting on the day when we become awakened to the law they gave us. And the day we start talking this way and acting this way, watch doors, money, resources start coming to us out of nowhere. Okay? But we must demonstrate to them that we know what we're doing, that we can create models. For example, what are we going to do about the homeless? We have a model. What are you going to do about killing the black folks in the community? We have models. What are you going to do about abortion? We have models. If you can demonstrate that, they're coming. Why? Because it's more in their interest that we survive and prosper than us.
Yeah. Well, y'all, you heard it first. ADOS is a national treasure.
Right. That's right.
You heard it right here first.
You heard it on this program.
Yes, you heard it on the 13%
the world has ever known.
Yes. Yo. Yes. Well, you know, we coming up to the close to the 2-hour mark, and this has been a wonderful, powerful, awesome, loving. I got all the feels from this conversation. I really did.
I'm up here sweating. My shirt is wet. Angela Nirvana turned the heat up. Come on. Oh, yeah,
see, we got fire. We got fire going.
We're fired up. Fired up.
Right. Hey.
I love y'all. I like you do.
I love it. Yes. Well, yeah, I don't know what else to say, but no, that's not true.
Can y'all please? Can y'all please? That flyer I sent you, you know that little flyer?
Yes.
Can y'all please get that out to all your ADOS people around the country?
Yeah, I'm about to put it. Actually, yeah, I'm going to put it up right now so the family can see. Let me go ahead and share this.
When is it? When is that? Is it a march that you had a flyer of earlier? Yeah.
There it is.
No.
Yeah.
It's not a march. It's not a march.
It's a demonstration. Yes, a demonstration. So, Brother Ted, just break this down just real quick for the family, and then just put in your ask of what you would like us to do to support you in this effort.
Okay. As it says, this occupation is not a protest, but a demonstration of our movement's commitment to the matters of Black lives. Occupy the federal building. We're federal citizens, Brother Arthur.
Yes.
This is our federal right and duty and responsibility to do. And all I want is everybody to start talking about it on the internet. I'm going to send out some information later to you where as we approach that day, y'all start calling the White House and you hit the president's Twitter, tweet the shit out of him. Okay. I mean, hit him hard and email, whatever you can do. And those of you who are local here in LA, y'all come on down to the federal building. We're not going to tell you which building we're going to hit right now. We'll tell you the night before. That way you'll have some time to come. But get ready to make that move. And maybe what y'all can do in Chicago, y'all can go to a federal building, get some folks together, and stand in solidarity until all the other ADOS people across the country get your flags out upside down, stand in solidarity with what's going on in Los Angeles. And we ain't tearing up no property now, because look at 10 years.
Right.
We ain't tearing up no property.
You know, one of the things that I also did, I had this on my Twitter as my icon, and if any person wants to do this too, you know, to even show, like, because I understand like a lot of us are still confined, sheltered in place, things of that nature. But you know, what we still can do the other parts on our side. We can still email, we can still call, we can still write our congressman, we can still do all of that, you know, and because all of that is political advocacy, right? So, and one of the things that I did was I also had this on my Twitter as my icon. Oh my goodness, hold on, peoples.
Andrew, while you're doing that, Andrew and Cynthia, maybe we can find a way to hook you up live. When I go in and sit down at 12 o'clock, have it running live some kind of way. If we can kind of do that, I don't know. I don't know how to do this stuff.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, you know, you got my number, Ted. So just holler at me.
And mine's
But yeah, I had this in my as my Twitter.
That's cool. I like that. Send it to me.
Yeah, I will. And so like, and if anybody else wants it, it's just I turn this I put this as my icon just to basically show that, you know, we are as ADOS people are in dire distress. And the reason being is because of our because of the systematic plunder that has happened to our group. And the government did it, and only the government can fix it. So we want to make sure to get that information out, and that's the reason why we even got these hats made in ADOS Chicago when it came to the ADOS and in dire distress, and had the flag turned upside down. You know, and people, especially if they're in the military or in government or anything like that, they know what that means. They know what that means. And so we wanted to definitely preface that about, you know, the American descendants of slavery are in dire distress and the reasons being is because of the positionality that we are in and the pervasive position that we are continuously pushed in, you know, from all the different inceptions of erasing us because you do not want to repair and reconcile and redress what you broke in the first place, America.
They'd rather,
and that's why we're here.
And remember now, the federal government cannot fix us. We have to do that through the power of the federal government. We're going to tell them what to do.
Yes, we want to. Well, when I say they broke us, they can fix us, but we tell them what to do. It's kind of like, you know, when we talk a lot about an agenda, like you bringing an agenda forward, and and one of the things that we have to do, family, Arthur says this, and I echo it, is that we have to stop telling candidates and elected officials asking them what's your Black agenda. No. I personally, I want to go to everyone like, this is our agenda. You gonna do it or not?
Right.
We talk about our agenda right now.
Right.
You gonna do it or not?
Right.
You know,
all I want to hear from a politician is, what do you want me to do?
Right. That's
I
all.
will do what you tell me to do.
Tell me
I'll
to
use
do.
creativity. I'll use my power, but you tell me what to do because I am your servant, not your boss.
That's right. And that's one of the minds, and that's a definite mindset that we as constituency has to get into.
Right.
We have to get into it and know we are your boss because it is our votes, it is our participation in this this
right.
Yeah.
You might ask the candidate, what is your platform?
Right.
Because that shows you what their mindset is, where they want to go. But an agenda is not ever anything that is generated by a politician. As a matter of fact, if a politician comes to you with an agenda, that is disrespectful. How the hell can he tell you what you want?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
An agenda is about telling a politician what you want and what you're willing to do. Now we can deal. I got 10 things on my agenda. You might want to do 5. Okay, but I'm going to expect you to do those 5.
Angela, you see why I like ADOS? You why I like ADOS?
Yes,
I love ADOS so bad.
We're mutual fans.
Yes, and we love you too, Brother Ted. Ever since we had to pull over from,
we pulled over. We were drunk.
We pulled over from leaving the bar.
Wait a minute, no, really, we would. Okay, don't arrest us. We were drunk driving, listening to you.
No.
And
little tipsy, little buzz.
Little buzz. And you was talking and stuff, and then you started talking about federal super citizens, and I said, wait a minute, and I pulled over.
Right.
Just to listen to you, I said, who is this dude?
That law makes us super. Nobody can do that but us.
Right.
So I want to thank you, Brother Ted, for gracing us again with your presence. You know, you always have a seat at the 13%. Just whenever you want it, you let me know.
Right.
Okay. Seriously. Yes. And Sister Angela, thank you for firing us up. And you know, I had to break out a few. I was like, "Ooh,
remember, Angela's the one that introduced us to Ted.
That's right. That's right. So it makes more sense for you to be here. So we appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. You all make sure you check out. Before we go out, I want to make sure that everyone knows how to find everybody. So, Sister Angela, go ahead and just tell the family how they can find you and watch you and all that other great stuff. And then we'll go to Ted.
Thank you so much. On Sunday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, Friends of ADOS TV, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. I would love. I mean, if you want to see me turn up, Lord knows, you know. You might not be in the mood for that all the time. I do every other day because I am very emotional about ADOS. And the more I learn, it makes me even more intense. And I'm learning a lot, you know, because for a long time, I just chose to be a credit to my race until white supremacy came for me. And that's what made me get into this fight. When I realized someone with my experience and my education, I mean, across industries, I'm a cold piece of work. And when I find that I've been on a bazillion interviews and can't get employment, I realize I too can end up in Skid Row. And so that is what gave me a voice in this movement. When Yvette kept telling us to be the solution, I'm a founding member of ADOS SoCal. So if you're down here and you want to sling bricks with me, you know, look me up. I'm everywhere. Thank you guys for having me on the show. It was an honor and a privilege to be here with Ted, whom I love immensely. Thank you for letting me be me, because I am turned up. And y'all don't.
I know that's right, sis.
Calm down. I don't understand why everybody ain't on fire. That's what I get.
Right.
But thank you.
Right. Well, that's all right. We light flames. Flicker, flicker, flicker. That's what we do.
That's why I shut up tonight and let Ted talk.
Right.
I shut up. I just
exactly. Oh my goodness. So, brother Ted, how people can find you, all your documents and all that, because holla at the family, let them know.
Yeah, if I should leave the planet tomorrow, all y'all gotta do is look on my computer. You'll see everything. You can go to mattersofblacklives.com. Mattersofblacklives.com. You see all the stuff there. By the way, I'm in the maybe 8th, maybe 9th page of a manifesto that I'm putting together for next week, and I'll put it out to everybody. Y'all will get it, of course, and for history. So mattersofblacklives.com, you'll see it on there eventually. Also, you can go to YouTube, ADOS, 14th Amendment Promissory Note. You'll see that on my website as well. Also, you can go to Instagram, tedhayes.us, see me there. While you're over on Instagram, go check out Usher, the singer, Usher. He came out one day a couple months ago. Someone told him I was on the hill talking that stuff and the flag upside down. So he brought about 900 brothers and sisters out there on their bikes. They were protesting, and they ran up on me, and he let me talk. And he posted it on Usher Instagram. Go check it out. He supports the idea of the flag upside down over the White House. Okay.
Wow.
And you can also go to YouTube and you'll find Usher on YouTube. Usher and Trey Songz leads protests at Venice Beach. You'll see all that. All right.
Right.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adon. Organizers,
you.
leaders, young people. Thank you so much. You make me have hope for our people for tomorrow. Thank y'all.
That's what's up.
Don't forget my hat.
You. Right.
We're gonna get a hat too.
We're gonna get that hat. Yes.
We want you to rock it. We're gonna send you.
Right. So we're gonna send you the hat. We're gonna send you a hat.
Sign it.
You got sign it. Oh wow. Okay.
Cynthia McDonald. If you don't, I know where y'all live.
Oh, most definitely. Yes, we're gonna make sure that you get your hat, Brother Ted. Again, Sister Angela, Brother Ted, and all the family. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you all for having this discussion, this conversation. I think that it was pertinent to have, especially since we are in, this election cycle, and we gotta be vocal about what we want, y'all. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, and be less. One of the things that I'm so grateful for that we are becoming a group of people, of voters that are less driven by party and more driven by agenda. And I need more of us to actually get on that note. And with that said, you all, again, make sure before you leave, like this video, share it on your social media platforms. Make sure you hit the bell for every time so that you get notification every time the YFNA News goes on live. Our show is on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. In Black and White comes on Wednesday nights at 5 p.m. Central Time. We're going to have more content that's coming out for you all, so please check all that out. Again, if you like the content, consider being a Patreon. The links and also buying us a coffee, the links are below. We also want to thank our patrons that we have right now. I know that we have more, but these are the only ones I can remember right now because I have yet to actually look at the entire list. I want to thank BestName Ever, Marsha Filipello, and me, because I believe in what we do. I believe in what we do, and I believe in us, really pushing forth the message in order for us to get our people minds together so that we can get our position in America together. Because that's what's up. That's what we're trying to do. Yes. So again, thank you all for watching the 13%. And on that note, we say ta-ta for now.
Thank you, guys.